This update is for Thursday, October 22nd. Hours 5 and 7 reviewed vocab. We do have a vocabulary quiz tomorrow. All sections had a journal. And then we today started the quarter 1 concept assessments. This would be a quick review for hours 5 and 7 for some of the words, for all of the words that they're going to be encountering tomorrow. We did a journal today on Halloween fairy tale. We watched a video called Suck a Blood, and their attempt was to creatively come up with their own fairy tale about a childhood event or feel. It can be a story or, like Suck a Blood, a poem that rhymes. If the students could not come up with one, they could continue from my example here after the dots. We started the plot and character quarter 1 assessments. The students are able to use their book and their notes. They can listen to music. They can use a paper or a Google Doc, but they cannot play games on their iPads, phones, ask each other questions, or use their cell phones for anything other than music. The plot common assessment looks like this, and all of it is for the story Helen on 86th Street. Students will be working their way through the exposition of the story. They'll be finding complications in the rising action. They'll be finding the climax of the story, and there is a hint here. There's falling action, and I want them to label 2 events in the falling action, and then finally the final outcome of the story. For the character section, students are working on characterization and character. They needed to name the 4 most important characters and then have a couple of adjectives that describe them. I gave them some examples of direct and indirect characterization from the most dangerous game in case they needed further examples. An example of indirect characterization is this passage. An example of direct characterization is in this passage. Finally, then, they needed to try with Helen on 86th Street. For the 4 characters that they listed above, they needed to find an example of either direct or indirect characterization. And then they needed to explain using evidence. Lastly, we wanted to know if the 4 characters that they picked earlier were dynamic, round, or flat, static. And then they needed to explain their thinking. Of course, they can use their notes for all of this.